Hi everyone, welcome to my May manga reading log. So this is going to be everything that I read in the month of May. And this is probably my biggest reading log yet. I think there's like over 60 volumes in here. So I read a lot this month, to say the least. So I don't know how long this is gonna be. Maybe you wanna grab a snack, whatever, hang out with me. First, I'm gonna start with the most recent thing I've been reading, which is the Heroic Legend of Arslan volumes 1 through 6. And this series really caught me by surprise. It is not a genre I typically read. I picked this up at a used store just randomly because I wanted to support a local business. But basically, this story is about a prince named Arslan, and his kingdom basically gets taken over and he has to escape. So it's very Game of Thrones vibes. There's lots of secrets and mysteries with like the royal lineage and etc. And in the first volume, I was reading it and I was like, this is not going to be for me. They like threw so many characters at you, so many words and terms. This is based off of ancient Persia. But the thing is, like, in the first volume, over half the people they introduce die. So it's like, okay, I don't need to remember that many characters, but once you keep reading, it's really easy to follow. I really like it. And the reason I was like skeptical of this series is because I thought that Arakawa was only doing the art, but they explained it in the back of this volume 1 that this series is based off a novel series by this author, but Arakawa is doing the art but also adapting the story into her own manga, so it's kind of like she's just doing the art but kind of not at the same time. So of course the art is gorgeous, the story is really good. She is the creator of Full Metal Alchemist and Silver Spoon. I've only read Silver Spoon, but now I'm like, should I get into Full Metal Alchemist because this is so good. A genre that I don't typically like, she made this good for me, so I'm really excited to keep reading. I think there's like 14 volumes out right now ongoing, and I have up to volume 8. But man, these characters are so beautiful. Like, even if you look at the covers, like, I just think it's really interesting as well. Like, there's lots of politics going on, kings and queens and fighting and succession and other kingdoms. It's really cool. I've never read anything like this, I don't think. Like I said, it does remind me of Game of Thrones. I have not watched that either, but my dad used to be obsessed when I was younger, so he'd always have it on in the background and he read the books and stuff, so he would talk to me about it. So I kind of get the gist, and I think this is like that. So definitely a unexpected win this month. Next, I read Omnibus 1 of Kaiji. This is volumes 1 and 2. And this is a gambling series about a guy who he co-signed on a loan with a friend and it ended up biting him in the butt. He suddenly owes like $1 million to the Yakuza. So he gets an offer to go on this ship to try to gamble to repay his debts, basically. And in his first 2 volumes, the first game that they play is rock, paper, scissors, and it's like kind of like the psychology of rock, paper, scissors, and it's not even over because they left on a cliffhanger, but it was pretty interesting. I don't know if this is the series for everyone, but I was intrigued enough to keep going with this, so I think I will be picking up the next omnibus. The art style is also pretty unique. This is an older manga, I think it's from the 90s, so if you are picky about that kind of stuff, you might not like this either, but I thought it was pretty good. Definitely continuing, and this edition is really nice too. Denpa always does a good job with their manga. Okay, next I read volumes 1 through 10 of Kimi no Todoke. This is a shoujo manga about this girl named Sawako, who everyone is kind of scared of because she looks like this Japanese folktale creepy woman, and the popular guy in her class that sees who she really is, basically. Really cute, really wholesome. There are some frustrating moments, I think these 3 volumes especially. Lots of miscommunication, basic high school drama, but even though I usually would not tolerate that kind of stuff in my manga, the characters are so likable that it makes me want to keep reading, especially the side characters. Their friend group is so wholesome and so supportive. I really like it. So I've attempted to order up to volume 20. I'm missing some because it's kind of hard to get the rest right now, but really excited to keep reading this. Surprisingly, I think that this is already past where the anime is, so I can't even like watch the anime instead, you know, I can't switch over. So I'm gonna read the next 10 volumes and see how I feel from there. There's actually 30 volumes of this, so it's quite long, but I'm enjoying it, even though it's not something I would normally like. This month, I tried a lot of different new stuff, so it's good to branch out sometimes. Okay, next, a big chunk of what I read this month, volumes 1 through 20 of Hunter x Hunter. Yes, I have seen Hunter x Hunter 1999, 2011, tons of times, but I had never sat down and read the manga, because I alternate between the different versions of the anime, and then, like, I don't leave myself enough time to relive the story, if you know what I'm talking about. It had been enough time. I think the last time I rewatched 2011 was, like, 2 months ago, so that's enough time for me to redo the story, but I love this story. I mean, obviously I wouldn't keep watching it if I didn't love it, but if you don't know what Hunter x Hunter is, it's about this guy named Gon and his quest to find his father, and to do that he has to become this thing called a hunter. What I read was up to the end of Greed Island, and it's starting the Chimera Ant arc. Meruem is about to be born, so that's exciting. My favorite arc is York New City. because Kurapika is my favorite character, and that's like his arc pretty much. Great Island is my least favorite arc. I still like it, but it is my least favorite. But we got through it. It starts slow in my opinion, and then it picks up. It's important because it's them training and building up their nen and stuff, but the Ant arc is like arguably one of the best arcs in all of manga, as people say, so I'm excited for that. Also, people complain about the art in Hunter x Hunter, and I don't know if I'm just not at the part where his art goes downhill. It's like your typical shonen. It's nothing amazing, but I don't think it's bad. The characters are all still distinguishable. Looks pretty okay. So yeah, maybe that's in the future for me, but so far it's looking pretty good. Like I said, I love Hunter x Hunter. I like the story already. I already know. The only thing I haven't read is past the election arc, so where the anime leaves off, I have not read past that, so excited to get there, even though it's not that many volumes past where the anime leaves off, but yeah, Hunter x Hunter. And then I read volumes 1 through 5 of Given. Oh boy. Okay, so obviously I've seen the anime for Given, and I think it is a really nice story, and that anime covers about the first 3 volumes, and essentially this story is about a guy named Mafuyu and a guy named Uenoyama, and they're in high school, and Mafuyu asks Uenoyama to teach him how to play guitar because he knows that Uenoyama is a guitar player in a band. And Mafuyu has this kind of secret that his ex-boyfriend committed suicide, so trigger warning for suicide with this, and his boyfriend left him this guitar that he doesn't know how to play, but he learns. So he ends up joining the band, and there's these other 2 characters as well in the band, and it's just Mafuyu's journey to kind of overcoming trauma and healing through music, and I think that is the best part of this story, is the whole storyline with Mafuyu and coming to terms with his past, etc., and kind of his relationship with Uenoyama and how that's helping that. I think that is a really nice depiction of this kind of story. But going into volumes 4 and 5 is when we have the whole arc with Haruki and Akihiko and Ugetsu, and that whole thing is messy. I'm not a huge fan of having a ton of drama in my romance, and that stuff is just messy. I do not like their relationship at all. I think it's too toxic, but it's kind of like a train wreck you can't look away from type of situation. Like, I still want to keep going because I know this arc is over. It was a pain to get through, but the little moments of Uenoyama and Mafuyu in between those were like really impactful because it was like the shining diamonds in the pile of burning trash or whatever the rest of that was. But if you've seen the movie is not a good adaptation. I watched the movie right after I finished volume 5, which is where the movie ends off, and they cut out all the best parts in my opinion. So read the manga if you like the movie and the series at all. I think you'll enjoy it. There's a lot more depth to it, but the only thing is you can't hear the songs in the manga, so if you read the manga, definitely go look up the songs for the anime because they will knock your socks away. They're really good. But yeah, like I said, I liked the first 3 volumes a lot. 4 and 5 kind of lost me except for those few redeeming moments. I was gonna do a whole first impressions video of this, but I figured I'd just spew my thoughts here. Like I said, I really like Uenoyama and Mafuyu, but I do not like Akihiko and Haruki. I like them individually as characters. I do not like them together because Akihiko just has too much baggage and Haruki is kind of stupid and too forgiving. It's weird because Haruki is my same age and I cannot imagine myself going after someone like Akihiko, and he even admits that he first falls in love at first sight because of his looks, and it's just like, no baby, no, we don't do that. Don't put yourself in the situation to be in this toxic relationship. It's just, but I know that's how life goes sometimes. It's just looking in from an outsider, this manga, like if these people were real, I would need to sit down with my friends and have a talk because this is not healthy. But the art is gorgeous, and one of the couples is great. So yeah, we'll see. I think volume 6 comes out later this year. Sorry I rambled a bit on Given. Like I said, I wanted to make a whole video of it, but I just didn't have time. So this is my spiel for Given. Do I recommend it? If you like drama and like angst in your romance, then yes. Even though I don't necessarily like that in my romance, I've gotten attached to some of the characters, which is enough for me to keep going with this. For now. Okay, and then also this month I read volumes 7 through 13 of My Love Story. This was a reread. I finished it. One of my favorite shoujo series. I think I've mentioned this before. I do admit that the ending is rushed and sloppy, and the whole arc with the pastry chef was not my favorite, but if you've kept reading up until this point, that means that you're probably attached to the characters, and that makes any sloppiness kind of okay, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but like, you keep reading series because you're so attached to the characters, even if the direction is not like your favorite thing ever. The ending is pretty satisfying, but like I said, it's rushed, it's not the best, but I still like it. The first, like, 8 volumes of this are so strong, in my opinion, that it makes up for the rest of it. But this series will always be one of my favorites. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the art. I'm really thinking of picking up High School Debut by the same author, not artist. It's only, I think, 15 volumes, and they're like in these omnibus formats. So we'll see about that. I've been on a bit of a shoujo kick lately, which is kind of odd for me. I've been in my feels for some reason, but yeah, I'm glad I finished my love story. I'm glad I own it now. I had read it before from the library, so these are my own copies now finally. Really happy to have read this. Highly recommend to anyone. Okay, and then next I read volumes 1 and 2 of I Shield 21. So I have like a personal grudge against football. It's definitely not my favorite sport. I was in marching band in high school, and the football players, I'll just say, were not very nice to us. But putting that aside, I think this was pretty good. This is by the author of Dr. Stone, and the art is by the artist of One Punch Man. So the art's gorgeous, of course. The story is pretty good so far. It's about this guy who is really short, really runty. He's kind of been bullied his whole life, and he becomes the manager of the football team. Well, he's kind of coerced into being the manager of the football team. And they discover that he can run really fast. So they're like, no, you're not going to be the manager. You are going to be on the team. And so there's only 3 people on this football team now. And they kind of gather like temporary players from other teams when they play matches. And it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of eccentric characters in here. The guy that looks like an elf, what is his name? He is a character. Him, like, I don't even know what's going on, but I think these first 2 volumes were pretty good. They were okay. And I left on kind of a cliffhanger, and I know volume 3 is like impossible to get, so I don't know if I'll ever continue this, to be honest. I am like a sucker for sports manga, sports anime, anything sports, even if it's something like football that I don't even like. So I can see myself continuing this in the future, or maybe I'll switch over to the anime if I really can't find some of the volumes. But so far, I enjoyed this good enough. Okay, next I read volume 4 of Spy Family, really cute volume. They adopt a dog in this one. I'm excited for the next volume. I think it comes out this month or in beginning of June or something. I don't know what more to say. Love Spy Family. Read it. Everyone should read it. Really good. Really wholesome. Yeah, not really any plot development with this one with the whole mission side of things, but that's okay. I like slice of life. I like stuff like that. And this is not slice of life manga technically, but I think it could honestly fall into that category, and I'm definitely okay with that. Okay, next I did finish Host Club this month, so I read volumes 12 through 18, and let me just say, if you've only watched the anime for Oran and you liked it at all, you should keep reading the manga, because the manga really ramps up the drama and the romance. It's like a shocking kind of turn in the tone of the story. Like, this becomes a straight up like shoujo manga, whereas before I would have classified it as like a rom-com or just like a comedy. There's not much romance in the beginning. It's kind of just like funny antics, filler, comedy, etc., kind of building up the characters. But then in this last part, they just go full throttle with the romance and the drama, etc. And the ending is kind of weird, but it's kind of expected and satisfying for most of the characters. I've already talked about my issues with this series in other reading logs, which did not seem to come up in this ending. I feel like the author did use a lot of potentially problematic gimmicks and stuff in the beginning, kind of as like shock value humor type of stuff. But like I said, this turns into more of a romance manga pretty much in the latter half, which I actually enjoyed more. So I think I like this back half more than the front half. But I'm glad I read this. Was it my favorite thing ever? No. I think I rated it at like a 7.5 or an 8. I'm pretty generous with my rankings though. But yeah, I'm glad I read this. It's a classic series. I picked up the box set for pretty cheap. And yeah, I'm glad to see how the story ended, because I never knew how it ended. So that's nice to see. As you can tell from the cover, you can probably tell what happens. But yeah. And then lastly, this month I read volumes 1 through 4 of the Casason series. And this is another thing I kind of randomly picked up one day. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. I immediately ordered volumes 5 and 6, that should be here soon, but this story is about basically a girl on the track team, super sporty, super outgoing, and this girl in the gardening club who doesn't really have any friends. She's kind of like a shy, quiet girl, and basically they end up dating. It's a really cute story, really wholesome, but I think volumes 2 and 3 should have a higher rating than teen, if you know what I mean. I was kind of taken aback. I was like not expecting that to be in there, but overall this is a pretty cute story. But I will say the art in the first volume is not good. Like, they look so kind of derpy and not that good. But in the back of these, it talks about how long these volumes are spaced apart, because each chapter is kind of like a one-shot. It's not that linear of a story, but these volumes are like 1 to 2 years spread out apart. You can clearly tell the progression of the artist. Like, this looks like 2 different series. It's so drastically different. So you can see the progress, which is kind of nice. And yeah, this follows them throughout high school. And volume 6, I know, is them in college, so it does progress pretty fast, but the chapters are like little vignettes of parts of their life, so it kind of skips around in the future quite fast. It'll be like spring, then summer, then winter type of thing. But I think it's really cute. These are really fast reads, though. I wish the volumes were like a little thicker, but I think I picked these up for like $4 each, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, that is all I read this month. Like I said, I think there's like 65 volumes in here. Definitely the thing I'm reading right now, Arslan, I'm really captivated with. I'm really shocked that I really like that. And the rest of these series, I'm waiting for more volumes of Hunter x Hunter to come in. Same with Kimi ni Todoke, and the rest I either finished or new volumes haven't come out yet, except for Kaiji and I Shall 21. But yeah, I don't know when this is going up, but June is Pride Month, so I'm going to try to film a bunch of like sapphic title recommendations, MLM recommendations, etc., if I can. I actually will be out of town for about 3 weeks in June, so I don't know if I'll even have a reading log next month either, unless I read a bunch of stuff digitally because I'll be away from home. Maybe I'll finally start One Piece or something long that I could read on the Shonen Jump app, but we'll see. So I'm gonna try to pre-film a bunch of videos and we'll see how that goes. But if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye!